From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, March the 5th, 2025. The 17-year-old girl who was critically injured in a terror attack in Pardes Chana last week has died of her injuries. Yaheli Gur was among a crowd of people waiting at a bus stop in the area on Thursday when a terrorist rammed his car into the crowd. She sustained critical injuries. 12 others sustained serious to moderate wounds. The terrorist, a 53-year-old Palestinian from Jenin, was shot and killed by police. Former Israeli hostage Ohad Yahalomi was laid to rest today in the cemetery of Kibbutz Nir Oz, his home, from where he was brutally abducted by Hamas terrorists during the October 7th Hamas massacre. Hundreds lined the streets as his funeral procession made its way to the kibbutz, with people paying their last respects. Yahalomi's remains, together with the remains of 3 other hostages, were returned to Israel last month. He, his wife, and their 3 children were all taken hostage from their home in Kibbutz Nir Oz by terrorists. His wife, Batsheva, managed to escape with their 2 daughters, who were 2 and 10 at the time. Ohad was taken to Gaza, as was their son, 12-year-old Eitan. Eitan was eventually released during the November 2023 ceasefire deal. Ohad was murdered in Hamas captivity. The 59 hostages who remain held in Gaza have now been captive for 516 days. 6 recently released hostages are in Washington, D.C. this week, part of a special delegation organized by the Hostages Families Forum and Hostage Aid to meet with U.S. officials in the Capitol. Doron Steinbrecher, Eli Sharabi, Naama Levy, Yair Horn, Omer Shemtov, and Keith and Aviva Siegel. Yesterday, they visited the offices of the D.C. chapter of the Hostages Families Forum, where they learned about the efforts made for them and all hostages to return home. They also wrote a personal message on their posters, which hang in the forum's offices. Like American-Israeli former hostage Keith Siegel, who wrote, "I am so fortunate. You gave me the strength to survive." Some of the former hostages, including Siegel and his wife, and hostage families were also in attendance last night as President Trump addressed a joint session of Congress, where he spoke briefly on the subject, saying, "In the Middle East, we are bringing back our hostages from Gaza." Incoming IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir officially took over the role today from outgoing Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi in a small ceremony that began with a moment of silence for the IDF's fallen. Zamir and Halevi also visited the Kotel, the Western Wall in Jerusalem's Old City, and the National Memorial Hall for the Fallen of Israel's Wars on Mount Herzl, where the two laid a wreath and lit a memorial candle. Another Australian nurse was arrested and charged over a video made with threats to kill Israeli patients. We reported to you that one of the nurses in the video, a 26-year-old female, was arrested and charged last week. The other nurse in the video, a 27-year-old male nurse, was arrested yesterday, Tuesday, and charged with using a carriage or telecommunications to menace or harass. He was released on bail. Both will be in court on March the 19th. Well, the Anti-Defamation League's Never Is Now conference took place this week in New York City, said to be the world's largest summit on anti-Semitism and hate. Speakers included former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, actor David Schwimmer, social media star Montana Tucker, business leader and philanthropist Daniel Lubetsky, who received the ADL's Courage Against Hate Award, Actress Gal Gadot, who was honored with the ADL International Leadership Award, and legendary tennis player Billie Jean King, who received the ADL's Changemaker Award. Also speaking at the conference, the parents of slain American-Israeli hostage Captain Omer Neutra, whose remains are still being held by terror group Hamas in Gaza, Orna and Ronen Neutra, who urged the return of all the hostages, the living for rehabilitation, and the deceased for proper burial in Israel.
We have 24 living hostages, and we have 35 deceased hostages, and among them our son. And you know, it really disturbs us when we hear that there are only 24 hostages out there. No, there are 59 hostages, and each one of them must be reunited with their family.
And by the way, we will be broadcasting programs from the ADL's Never Is Now conference, starting with the opening plenary Sunday, March the 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on JBS. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, March the 5th, that's 7 o'clock. David Harris is joined in conversation by Arab peace activist and supporter of Israel, Loay Alshareef from the United Arab Emirates. At 7:30, Rabbi Ammiel Hirsch mournfully reflects on the Bibas family tragedy. At 9, Justin Pine speaks with Torah teacher and sociologist of American Jews, Mijal Bitton. At 9, it's Aryeh Katzin on L'chaim. At 10, it's the ILTV's Insider. At 10:30, an encore of the news. And coming up next, it's Thinking Out Loud. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, March the 5th, 2025. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.